Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Myth Busting Mondays.
Yes, today the myth we're going to talk about. Oh, I like this one.
Yeah?
It's the myth of happily ever after.
Oh, yeah. So every Monday we bust a common myth about love and get down to the nitty gritty about how to create long lasting, soul satisfying love.
So this myth of the happily ever after, I remember I had a friend once he would say, we'd all fare better in life and our relationships and in love if all the fairy tales ended with, and then they were miserable. The end. Right, because all they all end with a
Yeah,
happily ever after. We
yeah,
have this whole idea that somehow we're going to reach this place in our lives where, oops, we'll never have problems again. So
exactly.
do you believe that? Do you out there listening to us right now, do you have the belief that when you find your right person, when you find this soulmate beloved person, that everything will be hunky-dory and you won't have any problems?
See, now that sounds kind of ludicrous when you hear that, right? You go, oh, right. So if I meet somebody, all my problems are going to go away. But the truth is, so many people are holding on to this belief that the problems they have in their life right now would just go away if they had a relationship, right? If they had that partner next to them,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I wouldn't have to worry about the bills or the cleaning or the whatever, right? Or you're stressed about your job, whatever those things are, right? It's like, oh, it would all just go away if I just had this relationship. And that kind of fantasy, right, that you're holding on to in some way is not helping you because it's creating an unrealistic expectation.
So what we want to say is, some of your problems might go away. That's true. But you
Yeah,
open yourself up to have a whole host of other ones
exactly.
that you had never imagined because life is going to throw you curveballs.
Yes.
Ultimately, life throws us curveballs. It throws everybody curveballs. So when we talk about creating a soul satisfying, long lasting love relationship, we're talking about selecting an ideal partner instead of just going off your feeling state, right?
Yeah.
Because people leverage chemistry so heavily, or they forsake chemistry and attempt to settle. And I will say neither one of those scenarios really creates this long lasting, soul satisfying love that we're talking about here.
Exactly. You know, the thing about happiness, right? Marcy Shimoff wrote a great book about happiness, right? I'm spacing the title right now.
Happy for no reason.
Happy for no reason,
Yes.
right? And in it, she talks about this idea that we all have a happiness set point, right?
Like it's yeah,
It's
it's
like
a
our,
place.
the place where we're normally happy, habitually happy, is pretty much set unless we do a lot of work to change it. In fact, they've even done studies that show that people who have children are no more nor no less happy than they were before the children, right? The
Yeah.
children didn't bring them more happiness,
Nope.
right? Your relationship's not ultimately going to bring you more happiness because the stress is just going to come from somewhere else, the thing that drags you back down. And once all the chemicals wear off of the romance phase, right, when there's no longer oxytocin flowing through your body every time you look in each other's eyes.
Hi,
Right?
Eddie.
It still feels good, but it's not the same, right? It's not that, oh my God,
What?
it's not
No,
it's not
I'm
like
kidding.
sparklers and all that going off, right? That it is in the beginning, right? That wears off. And then you're dealing with another person
Yeah, and you know
sitting
what?
next to you.
They start off like it's so exciting in the beginning. You're like, oh my gosh, we're like the same person. We like the same things and we get along so well and everything's so great and yummy. And then eventually you get to the place in the relationship where you're like, oh my God,
Oh,
he drives me crazy. Why does he have to, whatever,
if
whatever?
you
Why
would
does
just
she?
stop doing
What
fill in
a,
the blank,
yeah,
right?
blah, blah,
Oh.
blah, blah. Right? And so you're gonna get there. And it doesn't matter who you're with. Like, imagine who your celebrity crush is, right?
Yeah.
George Clooney, Brad Pitt,
I don't know,
whoever.
Angelina Jolie, Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, I see. You went to
Yeah.
your girlfriend.
Well,
Got it.
we're not just talking to women here.
I know, it's true. So here's the deal, right? You could end up with your celebrity crush, and eventually, you know what? They're just going to be a person.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have things that come up. You're going to have conflicts that arise. and you're going to have to find your way through. So the myth of the happily ever after actually sets people up for an unrealistic expectation, because what most people do is they rush into a commitment. So when you think of the 5 stages of relationship, and we like to use the labels of those 5 stages from Dr. Susan Campbell, who we like a lot. And so the way she labels the 5 stages is the romance stage, which we all know, that yummy, gooey, everything's great, nothing can go wrong feeling. And then the second stage is what we're talking about, right? The power struggle. Dun, dun, dun. Right? Like that power struggle stage is going to happen no matter who you are in a relationship with, no matter what. So you should expect it and plan for it. That's what we actually help our clients do. We actually help them with what we call the skill set for lasting love. And part of it is making their way through this power struggle stage. And a lot of our clients tell us when they end up with the right person and they are all in that yummy gooey, and then a lot of time goes by, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, they're like, oh, we haven't hit a power struggle. I don't even know what you mean about a power struggle.
I mean, we had a little argument about
something. But we worked our way through it. It was like, no big deal at all, right? And then eventually we get this panicked email. I need to get off. How can I get a session? I need to get. And we get on the phone and they start telling him, and then he said, and then I said, and then she said, and then I said, or whatever. And we're like, oh, you hit the power struggle. And every single one of our clients goes, wait, what? This? Oh, I didn't think it would be like this.
Yeah, I thought it would be
Everybody,
easy.
I didn't think it would be like this. I don't know about I thought it would be easy, but I don't know. Every single one of them, every single one without fail, for over a decade, helping thousands of clients all around the globe, I didn't think it would be like this. I don't know what y'all are imagining that the power struggle is like. I got some weird accent in there. I don't know what you're all imagining that this power struggle is like. It's different. It's different. It could be different for you in different relationships even, right? There isn't like one size fits all power struggle stage, right? But the power struggle ultimately is after all those yummy chemicals and the oxytocin, all that good stuff wears off. And you're like, oh, I'm just in a relationship with another person.
Yeah.
And they poop and they fart and, whatever.
And they do those annoying things.
Yeah.
They don't put the dishes away the way you like them, or they
don't load the dishwasher the way you like, or they don't whatever. Like
they don't take the same route home. It's like, why would you turn there? You're supposed to turn there,
right? Or they turn on a street that doesn't go through. Right? I didn't say that. So here's the deal. I love your laugh, babe. So we got a story there. We'll tell it another day. Here's the deal. I didn't say a thing. No. You never made that wrong turn again. So here's the deal. You have to expect that at some point that power struggle is going to show up. So the myth of happily ever after raises the bar to an unrealistic expectation. And because we're so terrified of being codependent that we don't realize we're interdependent. Yeah. And so we end up bailing on people simply because there was a conflict, right? And what we want to say is that's kind of ridiculous, right? You're not dating like a teenager. We want you to date like a grown-up person. So through the dating process, you do not want to iron out the bumps and the conflict. Now, I will say you do not have to go looking for them.
You don't have to create them.
Yeah, they will naturally show up on their own. And when they do, your job is to see if you can navigate through the conflict to see if you can create a deeper connection.
Yeah, and that really comes with taking responsibility for your stuff, right? Not pointing the finger and saying you did this and you did that and why do you keep doing this, right? If only you would stop doing that, then I would be happy, right? All that kind of languaging is just not helpful, right? It really comes because the power struggle is all about an ego desire, and that ego desire says, I'm right. My way is right. My response was right. My strategy for dealing with this problem is right, and yours is wrong. Because that's the only way. That's the only conclusion, right? If you're right, then the other person's wrong. And who wants to be in a relationship where they have to be wrong, right? So
that doesn't feel good.
Doesn't feel good at all. So it's about moving past that fighting ego struggle of being right or wrong, and moving into fighting for the relationship.
Yeah, and that's the third stage of relationship, right? So the stability stage is that third stage where the couple stops fighting each other, and they bond together, and it's like, ooh, you and me against the world.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to that power struggle stage, because Matthew's right. It is an ego power struggle. However, it's essential. And the reason why no couple skips the power struggle is because it's essential. It's like thinking about an actual teenager. If you've raised children, you know that as a teenager, a child individuates from their family of origin. And just like when a couple comes together in that romance stage, whoosh, they're bonded. Hi, Annie.
All right.
And then eventually they have to individuate into two individuals. So we always say the bad Hollywood math of the, the rom-com of 1 + 1 = 1, right? Like Jerry Maguire myth, you complete me.
No. Codependence, no good.
So 1 + 1 = 1 in the Hollywood movie. And our bad math of healthy relationship is 1 + 1 = 3. That's right. How did we get to 3? Well, I'll tell you. Or Matthew will tell you.
Well, there's me, there's Orna, and then there's this third thing that we've created together that we call the relationship.
The mosh pit here.
And what we do in the relationship is we give to the relationship and we take from the relationship, we receive from the relationship, right? Instead of from each other. And so when we're fighting for the relationship, we're fighting for this thing that we've created together, which is us, right? We're fighting for us. Instead of fighting against you or fighting for me, we're fighting for us. And so that's the third stage of relationship. And that's the way out of, the power struggle. And it is the way that actually creates a deeper bond, creates a deeper love than you will ever experience in the romance phase. I mean, the romance phase, don't get me wrong, it's awesome. Right? It is like being high on drugs.
Yeah, but it's a little superficial. Like it's floaty, it's light. It's not, like the depths of the ocean, right? Like I think about that romance phase that Matthew and I had, right? And you want a long romance phase. Like it should be long. As a matter of fact, a couple cannot make it through the power struggle with a truncated, romance phase. So if your romance phase is cut short for some reason, it's like you have to think of the romance stage as the gas in the tank of the relationship, and you need a full tank to make it through the power struggle to the stability stage. So you want a lot of gas in your tank, right? And so it's not about when conflict shows up. I think a lot of times people think, we had a conflict, he's not my guy, or oh man, she was just awful to me, not the right person. And the thing is we can all blow it, right? We can mess up and behave badly or have bad strategies, and that can happen at any point. So it isn't about this one thing or this one behavior. And those happen through the dating process and in the romance stage. The power struggle stage is really when the chemicals have worn off, right? When we're really
like a hangover.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a hangover. The stability stage is very soothing. The stability stage is very comforting. So couples that bond together in the stability stage, like Matthew said, are fighting for the relationship. And I'm going to show you how dorky we are, because for us, we're fighting for peace. So we're fighting for Om. So we always say, like I always say that without Matthew, I'm just ooh, because I'm O, right? So ooh, right?
And without Orna, I'm just
And together, we're Om. Right. So we always want the Om. We're working for the Om, the peace, the harmony. And so to have harmony in your home, you have to know how to overcome that power struggle stage. And then from the stability stage, which is really comfy, then the fourth stage of relationship is actually the commitment stage. And commitment does not mean exclusivity, right? Couples go exclusive before that. Usually, hopefully, because sex gets introduced.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
That's
you're going to go to exclusivity, when you're ready to stop dating other people and you're just going to choose this person. But that's not, and you could make a commitment in exclusivity, but it's not the commitment phase of relationship. Because the commitment phase of relationship is when you've made it through the power struggle and you look at this other person and you say, I accept you as you are.
I choose you.
I choose you. I don't need you to change a thing. There are all these things that I love, and there's these other things that I don't like so much, but I don't care. I'm taking it all as is.
Taking it as is. So if you've ever shopped at IKEA, you always get those bargains in the as is section, right? And so when you get to the commitment stage is when you can look at that person and you go, oh, I know you're out of the box. You got little bumps and scrapes, and I'm going to take you home and love you anyway, exactly as you are. I take you as is. The commitment stage says, I do not need you to change. If this is the way you behave from now until the end of time, I choose you anyway, and I love you anyway.
Yeah.
And the anyway part isn't like, oh, like an insult, right? It's like, oh, that little thing that bugs me, oh, I love you anyway, right? I mean, Matthew and I have little aqua notes in the shower so we can write notes in the shower. And, you know, it's like this thing of like really just choosing to love this other person, even though there might be, you know, things that drive you a little bonkers about that person. The really good stuff is having that yummy connection with somebody over a long period of time. So the next stage, because there's 5 stages of relationship, and I'll recap them all really quick. So we've got the romance, the power struggle, the stability stage, the commitment stage, and then number 5, Matthew, drum roll please.
The bliss stage, or oftentimes called the co-creation stage, right? So the bliss stage of relationship really is that. It's like you've really reached that state of deep love for each other and commitment to each other, and it really is awesome. And the co-creation part of that is that love between the two of you becomes so strong that you actually send it out into the world and you create something bigger than you. And for some people that's a family, right? For other people it's work they do in the world together, like what we do. Some people do it through philanthropy, through volunteerism, through, you know, all kinds of ways. You can create, you know, families out of, you know, just people in your lives, right? And you could take
or
the
you
love
can have
that
a mission together, right?
Exactly.
Do some kind of, you know, like something that benefits the world, right? It's like the love is so big at that bliss co-creation stage. It's
You got to
like
share
it spills over. You got to share it. And so traditionally, that's certainly about couples having children and creating family together. However, it doesn't have to be that. It can be anything because there's so much love there. It spills out into their community. It spills out into the world. And so this idea is beautiful. And we want to say, once you go through these 5 stages, then guess what? You hopscotch around. Mm-hmm. So we have definitely revisited the power struggle stage.
Yeah.
We've also revisited the romance phase.
And the
a renaissance phase of the romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the commitment phase. We've made new commitments to each other over the years, right?
The commitment, the stability stage. So you can literally like bingity bongity boom, like hopscotch around. But most couples go through these 5 stages in order the first time through. And I'm going to say again, because it's really important, no couple will skip the power struggle stage. We had a client several years ago, ended up with a guy she knew for like 18 years. And boy, when they hit the power struggle, she's like, she said that thing. Oh, I didn't think it'd be like this. Yeah. I don't know what they all think it's going to be.
She didn't even think they'd have a power struggle because they knew each other for so long.
18 years, she thought, oh, we're just going to skip right out. Everyone in the romance phase thinks, oh, we're not going to have any problems. So don't be delusional in the romance phase. Keep your feet on the ground, but know that you've got wings to fly. Really enjoy that romance phase. Then what you're going to do is look for the person. The ideal match is the person where you know there's going to be conflicts. And how do the two of you navigate through those conflicts together?
Yeah. Can you navigate them?
Yeah. I mean, most people are conflict avoidant. Most people are.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, kid.
You're funny.
And some people are not as avoidant and they escalate. So I'm going to say I'm guilty as charged with that one.
Look, nobody likes conflict, right? But to run away from conflict doesn't make the problem go away.
Exactly.
You've got to lean into conflict as a way to really figure out what's really going on and to get to the good stuff so that you can create that connection again.
I mean, our commitment is that we're going to clean as we go because we don't want any landmines that we might accidentally step on to blow the whole thing up, right? So we're going to clean as we go. And that's part of our commitment in our own relationship. So we're going to clean things up as we go along. So the myth of happily ever after is that love ultimately is a choice. That when you make that selection for an ideal partner, you don't do that until the 4th stage of relationship. Most people do it kind of ass backwards. They meet somebody, They quote unquote fall in love. They make the commitment and get engaged. And then by the time the wedding, the ceremony comes along, they're already in the power struggle and they start second guessing their choices. And what we want to say is you really want to take your time in knowing that you can make it through conflict with a person, right? That you're not going to sacrifice, that you're able to communicate well, that the person actually is hearing you. And the thing is when there is conflict and when we're triggered, our big prefrontal cortex goes offline. And so all of us have bad strategies when we're triggered, right? Being triggered means, oh my gosh, I'm in that fight, flight, freeze thing. And so some of those old strategies, even things we've worked on, are resurrected. This time period is quite intense for a lot of couples because they're under duress, right? They're not leaving the house as much. They're together with their partner for hours and hours at a day when they used to just see each other for a couple hours before bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so under duress, we will revert back to old strategies. Remember, that doesn't make this other person bad or wrong or the bad or not the right person for you. What makes it the right person is you're both choosing each other and you're both choosing to fix through those conflicts, right? You're choosing to repair through those conflicts and to choose one another again and again, clean as you go. And that's the myth of happily ever after.
That's right. And we just want to end this today with one of our favorite proverbs. It's a Swedish proverb, and it goes like this: shared joy is double joy, and shared sorrow is half sorrow. So that really is the promise of a great relationship, is that you double your joy and have your sorrow. And I think we can all get on board with that.
Yes, I'm on board with it. Are you?
Okay, so join us tomorrow for Ask O&M Live, where we answer your love, dating, and relationship questions live during this video.
Yeah, on our live tomorrow, we'll put up a post in a bit where you can ask any questions in advance. And of course, you can ask them in real time while we're live. Make it a great night.